Welcome to the Dirt Dude Conversations. My name's Andy Clark and I'm here today with Simon McLachlan up in Hoddles Creek in the beautiful Yarra Valley of Victoria. Welcome, Simon.
Thanks, Andy.
Now Simon and I, we actually used to work together a few years back now growing grapes, but we're here today on his beautiful little property here that he and his wife Josie own, and it's, as you can see, it's quite spectacular sort of location. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the place, Simon?
Sure, it's 21 acre property. It's an old established chestnut, walnut, Nashi orchard planted by a man called Peter Lee, a Chinese man, 30 years ago. And he sort of had it as a hobby farm and set it up and basically then just let it go. So my parents-in-law lived next door and we'd look at this place for years, thinking it'd be a great place to live and what we could do with it. And 4 years ago the opportunity came up to buy it, so we jumped at it. So
it's a bit different to grape growing here in the area. If you're looking at Nashis and chestnuts and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, it's a different thing. Also, even though there are grapes nearby, and Upper Yarra fruit is
it's very much
sought after. But it lends itself to fruit production. It's quite undulating. There's plenty of water, plenty of spring-fed water. Very free draining soils, and
it's beautiful, deep red,
yeah,
chocolatey sort of dirt. So it's a great part of the world for growing stuff. That's for sure.
And very sort of will adapt well with some soil biology action.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you looking to do with this place in the future? What are you looking to grow?
Well, we're gonna keep the chestnuts, and we are picking them and selling them. So we'll keep them, we'll maintain them. The Nashis we're bringing back in production, we'll keep them. Just behind the camera is a beautiful east-facing slope that'll be perfect for avocados.
That is a good-looking slope.
Yeah.
That's a very nice Nashis up there as well.
Yeah. So we'll plant avocados as well. Also, there's down behind us, you probably can't see it, there's lemons as well. Like citrus grow quite well here, especially lemons. Lemons and mandarins and things like that.
But so avocados, you've got a bit of experience with avocados as well, though, haven't you? Not so much in this climate.
I'm not a... Well, am I a Victorian?
Well, I don't know. I still classify myself as a South Australian, so...
That's true. Well, I haven't
been there for 20 years.
I grew up in Queensland on an avocado orchard, so a little 35 acre farm an hour north of Brisbane, in the Glasshouse Mountains. Mm-hmm. And I was there till I was 32, and I actually, after ag college, managed the home orchard, avocado orchard. And so it's a different story growing them down here, but you can. So,
what sort of, you say it's a different story. What are the main things that you find different in growing? So you had fruits and so strawberries and ginger and avocados and the like up north to growing things down here. What are the main challenges and differences for you?
Oh, differences, obviously the temperatures and the climate, but that being very distinct changes in seasons down here. Mm-hmm. So shorter growing periods down here. In the subtropics, it's just quite an extended growing period, so you can get excessive growth, I suppose, which down here with avocados I think would be a good thing to actually hold them back a bit, because they actually do go quite big quite quickly. Mm-hmm. They actually ripen quite quickly up there too. I think down here, with a longer ripening period, I think the flavours will develop a lot better.
Would you see a bigger harvest window as well? Yeah,
and a better, when I say a better one, like Queensland, sort of anywhere from April through to September. Mm-hmm. But down here, it's sort of that September through to even February, so through that summertime, I suppose, when people are eating a lot of avocados. But everyone eats avocados all the time now. But that's I think it's a gap. It's a gap in the market, because a lot of avos are grown up north. So there's and in Western Australia, they're grown everywhere now. Grown in Tassie. So.
And so with your farming experience as well, you've gone through the transition. You've converted from conventional farming to biodynamic on several places as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. It was a conventional farm. That's how My parents established it and ran it. And then when I finished uni and came back on the farm, I'd done a bit on integrated pest management at uni, so I started looking at that side of things and started to monitor the crop instead of just this calendar spray of, it's pretty scary actually. Every couple of weeks an endosulfan and a copper oxychloride, like it's horrible. But instead of doing that, I'd go out and monitor and say, well, I don't need to spray this time, or I only need to spray that area. And it sort of started there. I started to see the orchard come to life, literally come to life. Because you'd spray and then go out and it was quite Silent Spring type stuff. But so that was spark, I suppose. Then I started to think, well, hang on, why are we doing what we're doing? And the department at the time, the DPI, Queensland Department of Primary Industries, they had pretty conventional formats, and that's what most growers went by.
Yes.
So I started to question why are they doing that, and why are we doing this? And I started growing strawberries as well, and it came about more so then. Like we were growing, they were all putting out manure in the off season and growing these massive green manure crops, building up the soil and chopping them in and creating humus, and then coming out and fumigating everything with methobromide and killing the whole soil biology. And it's just like, why are we doing this? So I suppose it was a bit of gut feel. It was also just working through the process of how systems work and natural systems work, and I sort of stumbled across biodynamics through that. And it was an impulse. It was sort of like something that I just connected with very quickly. And I followed that up and got some training, and then just I very strongly went, well, I have to do this.
Yes.
And that was on the property up there. So we ended up being fully certified Demeter biodynamic up in Queensland.
Okay.
Before I moved down here. So, and we are in conversion certified here at the moment. And I've been working on a vineyard where we're practicing biodynamic methods with a view to part of the vineyard becoming certified potentially. So it's sort of a base note for me, I suppose, if you look like that.
So when in that transition period as well, so did you go straight from growing avocados and strawberries up there to growing grapes and everything else down here, or did you have a break in the middle? Or?
I did. Well, I mean, I moved to Victoria for various reasons, Josie being one, but also...
That's a good reason.
Yeah, that's a very good reason. But also, I grew up in the little town, where the farm was, and I was potentially going to stay there forever, that would have been fine as well. But in meeting Josie, she lived down here, and we sort of went out for 12 months from both cities, and I spent some time down here, and again, just felt I've got to give this a go, see what happens, see what it's like, and it was actually good to have a change from farming, to be honest with you. It doesn't hurt every now and then to
look at something
else.
To
do it differently, but I'm glad I did, because I did a few things.
So what are some of the things that you did?
The biggest thing was working for Wallangarra Outdoor Education Centre. So it's a not-for-profit, quite a unique...
Down in Gippsland?
Yeah, it's near Lacola, so on the McAllister River. So Josie and I ended up directing that for 3 years. It's a 3-year set contract, and we could talk for hours about that, but that was very significant. That's a tree falling. A big tree.
I'm not sure if you can pick that one up, but sounds like there's thunder over the background.
And
at least it's not a helicopter today. That's a nice feeling.
Yeah. Like if you look at things that happen in your life, and you're sort of picking up skills and experience as you go, and this one was very different to farming, but it was more about community and people management. We had to manage up to 6 permanent staff. We all lived in the remote locations, so we're talking no electricity, no vehicle access. Had to go across a flying fox across the river to get in, like quite remote. And you're working and living with flat out, working hard with people. And we had to hire the staff for each year. They were there for 12 months, and you're always hiring different types of personalities to to work well with working with young people, because that's what it was, taking young people hiking up in the mountains and experiencing a really simple pioneer style life.
Yeah, but if you strip everything back like that,
Yeah,
it's
no technology.
No technology. It's really hard to. Well, it's hard to escape. So it's.
Yeah.
I guess it forces you to confront
Absolutely.
any sort of shortcomings.
Absolutely,
or,
that's
you know,
perfect.
holes in your life.
You've nailed it right on, because that's what came up for everybody. There was nowhere to hide. There was nowhere to distract yourself, apart from the river or nature, which is a pretty good distraction. But there was nowhere to hide, and so that was very big. And the work
what did you learn out of that? Like where did you? Opening Pandora's box.
Still learning. No. Oh, I suppose I got a bit of confidence in who I was and how I had some awareness around people and working with people, but also highlighted how I probably needed to be a bit more open and upfront with people. Not that I wasn't, but just more so in...
a bit more direct?
Yeah. I mean, and Josie and I co-directed, so good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
I was a good cop, Josie sort of bad cop. Sorry. But, like, that's, I mean, that was, So that's what I'm learning at the moment, I suppose, through certain circumstances happening at the moment in management of people, is that to be just really open and honest and transparent. I think that's the way to move forward.
Yes.
Especially when you come to challenges, because we have to be so flexible out there and have to adapt all the time. There's always challenges, and when we did deal with it openly, in a safe environment, we always move forward through that. Right, it didn't sort of
blow up into
go just that was the way we could evolve within our management and what we were trying to achieve. And it was very simple principles and that have been established a long time ago, that have been held very tightly, very simple, very clear. So we had clear goals that we could work towards as a group. And clear purpose.
To follow.
Yeah, but those principles were held quite strongly, because directors changed every 3 years and staff changed all the time. It could have gone anywhere, but it's been respected and held quite strongly for a long time. And there's something in that, I think, in business potentially, like in your core principles and what you do.
Well, it allows people to know exactly what the task is at hand.
Absolutely.
Because you're all going in that one direction.
Yeah. But then it's also allowing them to, and what we did as well, we tried to do, was looked at people's strengths and their personality type and their work style and how to enhance that or to support that. Because we couldn't have done it on our own, we would have burnt out. So we needed to do that.
Yeah,
more so just did it, but that's partly of our leadership style as well. But that sort of, so it sort of rounded out another part that I'm so grateful that I've sort of learnt and learning, and we're still connected with it.
Well, so you've had some quite diverse experiences then. When you think about it, you've had 2 stints at farming, but in very different climates. You're going from the cooler temperate part of the mainland to the subtropics outside of Brisbane.
Yeah.
And you've got this experience where you're looking at essentially challenging youth and leaderships and stripping everything back to really finding people's, not only the purpose that the business had, but allowing people that space and growth, building an environment for them to grow within. What are some of the, who are some of the people that have sort of led you along the way or sort of inspired you within your learning journey, I suppose?
Yeah. Oh, well, Mum.
Everyone's mum.
Yeah, but no, that was a big influence in perhaps who I am as a person. But farming-wise, local farmers that I suppose grew up with their families, like just hard-working people that were quite honest and worked hard for a living to make it work. Conventional farmers. Once I sort of got involved with biodynamics, that opened up another realm. I suppose it was Alex Podolinsky's way of going about biodynamics that drew me in, I suppose. And the things that he's done for biodynamics in Australia and the world really are quite amazing, really. on a practical level on such a big scale. So that was an inspiration, I suppose, in his learnings and information around that. And then it's just other farmers, other people doing it and trying it and learning it. So not anyone specific like that, but
it's just about having that open dialogue with
yeah,
your peers, isn't
and
it?
lots of diverse ways of doing things too, not just biodynamics. So at the moment it's sort of like Masanobu Fukioka, the Japanese. He's dead now, but he's a natural farmer. I've been reading a bit about him and how he's gone about things. I find that inspiring. Even conventionally, like yourself, with the way that you're taking on such a big area and the way you're managing it and achieving results, even though it's not biodynamic or organic as such, but you're incorporating different aspects of or ways of doing it, and the way you manage people and the way you set up your structures and the way you approach it, that's inspiring. Because it's on a big scale. Because I think it's important it's good to have beliefs and want to do things a certain way, but if you can do it on scale, in my point of view, then you can make a bit of a difference, I think. So
you just got to, I guess,
there's compromises.
There's compromises, and you're never going to get a perfect system, but
yeah.
I think farming, you have to be the ultimate pragmatist.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's so many things you're out of control of that you just have to sort of almost follow the path of least resistance in some ways.
Yeah, that's actually a very good way of putting it. But yeah, and it's just so different every year, isn't it? Every season, it's just it's not ridiculous, but that's just farming. And I suppose another thing, another little inspiration is another farmer, a local guy, speaking about sort of differences and changes and observations. That's a big thing in any farming, but biodynamic farming is your observation skills of nature and your plants and what's going on around you. Andrew Knoll, he's a certified biodynamic berry grower about 5 k's from here. His observation skills are quite remarkable. And going to his property and listening to him, and he's come and worked in the vineyard with us pruning in his off season, and just what he picks up and sees.
Well, it's often that fresh set of eyes as well.
Yeah.
It's amazing how often you have somebody who is in tune with growing systems, and it can be completely removed from what you're growing yourself.
Yeah.
But when they come into your sort of field that you're working with all the time, that fresh set of eyes can
absolutely
see some amazing things.
But also things from a different angle too, like, some people can be set in the way that they do things and not be open to someone who's doing it the opposite way. But you can learn something from someone's other opinion. You might agree with it, but you might learn something from that to make you think about how you're doing what you're doing. I think that's important as well.
Look, Simon, I know, look, we've both been picking grapes today, so we're in the middle of harvest here. So we don't normally get this. Well, I certainly don't normally get this. You do, but I think I think you're doing an amazing job, and I think certainly, from what I know of you, the hard-working values and the honesty and the integrity certainly shine through with you. But you've got an amazing place here and an opportunity to really do something unique for yourself. And create that sense of place. Yeah. Thank you for having a chat today, and I've managed to get the red book on the red dirt.
Nice.
But no, thanks again, Simon.
Thanks, Andy.
Okay.
Good on
Cheers.
you.